So now let's put our first factory class to work and test it out inside a program called Test Connection. We're going to create inside Test Connection, we're going to create a new first factory class object, and we're going to configure that object by passing the word Oracle to the first factory constructor, which will configure that object, the factory object, to create Oracle connections. So that creates a factory object which is going to be stored as you see here. That factory object will be configured to create Oracle connections. Then we can actually create a connection using the factory object's create connection method as you see there. So it's going to create a connection object like that. That connection object should be a Oracle connection object. That's the idea. And we're going to test that with the connection object's description method. So we're going to see you're connecting with, and hopefully the connection object's description method will return the word Oracle. So we should see you're connecting with Oracle if everything's gone correctly. Just to reiterate what's going on here in this test connection program, we are creating a first factory object named factory configured by calling the constructor to create Oracle objects, as you see here. So that factory is going to be configured to create Oracle connection objects, and we use the factory object's create connection method to create a connection object. That connection object, if all has gone well, should create Oracle connections, as you see here, and we should see when we call the connection object's description method, we should get a return of value of Oracle. So we should see when we run this test connection program, you should see you're connecting with Oracle if all has gone correctly. So let's take a look and see what we actually do see. I'm going to run the test connection program right now, and as you see it worked out. You're connected with Oracle. So what happened there was the volatile code has been removed from our core code, and which is in this case is just the test connection class, and has been put into a factory class instead, and that factory class was configured to create Oracle connections, and then the create connection method was called on a factory object, and indeed it did create an Oracle connection as you see here. So let's go through one more time how the factory method works, how the factory design pattern works. And the idea is that you extract from your core code the volatile parts of that core code, of the object creation code in this case, and you put it into an external factory object like this. That factory object is configured in the constructor like this by storing the type of object it's supposed to create, and then you can use a creation method. In this case it's create connection, but of course it could create any type of object, and in order to create whatever the factory is supposed to create, in this case it's supposed to create connection objects, and it checks the internal type. If that type equals Oracle, then it's going to create a new Oracle connection and so forth. So that's the idea. The factory object contains the volatile code that's been extracted from your core code, and the core code is no longer filled with volatile code. When you want to create objects, you can rely on a factory instead of relying on having to modify your core code in order to accommodate the object creation code that may be very, very volatile. So that's the idea behind factories. It extracts your code that changes a lot and puts it into a factory class, which is easier to maintain because presumably it's shorter and more compact than your core code.